What's up, everyone? This is Cedric skycedi.
I'm Becky.
And today we're going to be talking about the differences growing up as a Black Korean and as a white Korean. In the United States, of course. If you're new to this channel, we are a half Korean creative couple here in Seoul, South Korea. We make videos about interracial dating and also about Korean culture. So if you're new here, consider subscribing and click that notification bell. All right, so today's gonna be fun because I was just thinking about how I grew up and I was wondering if my girlfriend Becky, if she grew up...
You did have to mention specifics. I think they know who your girlfriend is.
Some people might not know.
That's true. Somebody was like, "Weren't you dating a different girl like a month ago?"
I know, right?
Yeah. It's me.
Yeah. So I was just wondering if there were like, what were some of the differences of us growing up? You know,
between my boyfriend, Cedric.
I mean, like between like the foods that we ate, the type of household we grew up in, and you know, things like that. So I figured we'd talk about it. So I have a list of things that I wrote down, and we're just gonna see how we were similar or different.
Okay.
Yeah. So a little bit of context. I grew up in Fayetteville, North Carolina for most of my life, and so it was a pretty diverse little area because I grew up in a military town. But there weren't too many, I guess, Korean people around. So you had my mom and then her group of friends. And that was pretty much my context. But we did have a lot of African Americans and also Caucasians around. So I was used to being in that sort of, I guess, city or environment.
Mm-hmm. And I moved around a lot. So we lived like everywhere. East Coast, West Coast, Midwest, Deep South. Yeah. And pretty much, I didn't really meet any other half Koreans. Yeah. I mean, everything was very different demographically speaking, depending where I was at the time.
And a little disclaimer, these are obviously just our experiences. This is in no way a generalized statement about like all Black Koreans and how they grew up and all white Koreans. Hopefully you guys understand that.
Disclaimer.
Yeah, we just want to throw it out there. All right. So in terms of us growing up, let's see, what were some of the TV shows that you used to watch growing up?
Oh, well, I wasn't really allowed to watch TV. My mom
that's
was...
a big difference there.
My mom was really strict about that. So if we ever wanted to watch any shows, we would have to watch it when she wasn't at home. So if my mom was out, she was like, "Oh, I'm running to the store." We would say, "Okay." And she'd run to the store and then we'd, "Quick, see if the show is on right now." And we'd turn it on.
Dang.
And we'd turn it down like really low volume so that we could hear if she was about to come.
Did she ever catch up?
Oh, yeah. And then she'd be really mad at us. And we were like, "We're sorry." And we didn't have cable growing up. But I watched Teen Titans.
Teen Titans? I don't know what that is.
And I also saw a bit of The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody.
Okay, I must also say that we're kind of like different generations of like, I guess, cartoons and everything. So we're a couple years apart, just to let you know.
Did I ever watch anything else? I watched a little bit of Whose Line Is It Anyway?
Oh, wow.
Like the reruns.
Yes. Mm-hmm. That's a good show.
Because I did like that. I thought they were very quick on their feet. Mm-hmm. And I also watched... I guess that's it.
Wow. So, like, no cartoons, though?
No, I don't really like cartoons.
Dang.
I mean, Teen Titans is kind of a cartoon.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but I didn't like cartoons much.
Gotcha. Well, for me, like, I grew up in the Nickelodeon era where it was, like, really poppin'. But I grew up on, like, Doug. I grew up on Rugrats, Ren and Stimpy.
Ooh, those are creepy.
Ren and Stimpy was a little creepy. Rocko's Modern Life. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was my biggest one.
I do know Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
That's good that you know it. Did you ever watch it?
I watched the movies.
Yeah. Movies were pretty cool too.
Yeah.
I watched like Family Matters, Full House. I even watched Step by Step, Boy Meets World. What else?
Home Improvement.
Home Improvement wasn't really my jam. I wasn't into JTT so
Who's
much.
that?
Jonathan Taylor Thomas.
Okay.
But I did watch Home Improvement here and there. You didn't catch that reference? That's Tim Allen. Okay, so
I
anyways.
thought that was Scooby-Doo.
That sounded more like Scooby-Doo. All right, so yeah, I mean, I grew up on that. And then, of course, I think one of my favorites was like Fresh Prince, Martin. Man, all the jams. I'm missing a whole bunch, by the way, but we don't have enough time.
Well, who was the guy with the glasses and the suspenders? And you go, "Did I do that?"
That's Family Matters.
Oh, okay. I knew him.
All right. Music.
Great.
How did you grow up listening to music?
Well, about 2 generations behind anyone else. I always listened to like old musicals, Broadway, The Rat Pack, Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, Sammy Davis Jr., Nat King Cole. Big band, my mom's Korean hymns, movie soundtracks. That's about it.
I didn't grow up listening to any of that. Well, except for the hymns.
We listened to 50s. Lots of 50s music.
So, like, where did that come from? Was that
My
like,
dad.
Your dad?
Yeah, my dad literally listened to the old classics, like the golden classics. So this is what we used to listen to: the golden classics, golden oldies, and then my mom listened to classical music and Korean hymns, and then she had like 2 soundtracks of famous movie soundtracks, and we just listened to those ones over and over again.
I would have thought that was lame growing up, but now that I'm older and I love music, I really appreciate all of that. But I grew up listening to a lot of like more popular music, like pop music.
Like Britney Spears?
I mean, yeah, Britney, but definitely Michael Jackson.
Oh,
number
yeah.
one.
See,
I listened to that the
I
most.
missed that whole thing.
Yeah, so like I grew up listening to like Michael Jackson, Motown through my dad, of course, especially during Christmas time. Oh my goodness, the Temptations Motown album. So I think I was influenced a lot by my dad's taste growing up. And then I developed my own taste, and I would listen to, I'm ashamed to say, but I was into like Britney Spears, NSYNC.
Spice Girls.
Spice Girls.
He loved the Spice Girls.
I did. I have
He
posters.
has a big poster still.
I had. I had
bad.
2 actually. Yeah, so Spice Girls. Oh man.
Mariah Carey.
Definitely. So I mean, I was just into like whatever was hip on the radio.
At the time.
Yeah, I was into.
So pop.
Yeah, but I was more into R&B, a little bit of hip hop, and definitely like some pop. I mean, but my musical taste changed over the years, and then I would go through periods and phases. Yeah, but we were very different.
I was never mainstream. Ever. And then
Still barely
I'm
even
barely
scratching the
mainstream.
surface.
Yeah. So in high school, I started discovering other music, and so I used to go on crazy music dives through YouTube for hours and hours and hours, just searching up stuff. So my taste is unbelievably eclectic. I always say that every single person in the world, no matter where you're from, can look through my sound library and find at least one song on there that they love.
Nice. You do have great taste in music.
Thank you.
Moving on, we have food.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I think we have something that ties us together. Obviously, our moms, and our moms cooked a lot. So we had the Korean aspect, which most of the meals that my mom cooked were Korean food. So I grew up eating Korean food mostly, but whenever we would go out, we'd usually go out and just get like either like fast food, or we'd go out to like Golden Corral, which is a buffet. And that was like, so exciting for us growing up. And then my dad would cook every once in a while. But my dad would bring in the like soul food and some of like the southern, I guess, like fried chicken,
Fried
collard
okra.
greens. We didn't do okra.
Oh.
Actually, no, we did. My dad would cook that every once in a while. Chitlins, my dad cooked, usually on New Year's Day.
What are chitlins?
Chitlins, they're like...
Pork?
kind of like I guess like gopchang in a sense.
Oh, okay.
Or like sundae. But like it's different. My mom actually made grits a lot. So
I know this
eating
because my
grits.
dad was a southern boy. So whenever we visited, like on my dad's side of the family, we would eat like grits and bacon and eggs and fried
yes.
okra and cornbread and mashed potatoes and turkey.
Yeah, we'd always have grits for just lunch. I know some people, they grew up on like fish and grits or eating grits as a side. Yeah, fish and grits. I didn't grow up eating that. But man, grits for breakfast, scrambled eggs, bacon.
We mostly ate Korean food at our house. But if my dad was the one who would make breakfast, then we would have like eggs and bacon and grits and pancakes, things like that.
Did you guys use salt for your grits or sugar?
Who puts sugar in their grits?
Some people do. That's what I'm saying.
No.
As much as
You
I love...
eat salt and butter.
Exactly. A little pepper too.
But oatmeal is when you need to put like the fruits and little cinnamon.
That's true.
That's pretty good.
Okay, so we're probably a little more similar.
I think
in
a little
that.
bit more similar than that, yeah. But mostly we grew up on Korean food. What about your lunch boxes?
Lunch boxes.
My mom would pack like kimbap, or we would have like, we rarely would have American meals.
Yeah.
And my locker would smell like onions
You were one of
and
those
kimchi.
kids, huh?
Yeah, and then people would be like, why does your locker smell funny? I was like, you smell funny. And then I told my mom, stop packing me kimchi, and then she just gave me an onion and baking soda to put in my locker to get rid of the smell.
All right, moving on. Discipline.
Oh, yeah. I was beat.
By who?
There's no other way around this. My mom. She would even have like the wooden spoon, the Korean wooden spoon.
I know the wooden spoon.
And she would put your hands up like that. And then we would scream and then she would smack her hands. Or the back of your legs. That hurts so bad.
Okay, so your mom did most of the discipline? What about your dad? Did he ever jump in?
I mean, my dad never raised his voice ever. He would always sit down and talk us through.
Wow.
Yeah, so this is why we had a very good conflict management, I think, with my dad.
I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of a good kid, right? So I didn't really get in trouble that much from what I remember. But there were periods of time, and I don't even know if my mom even remembers this, but there were times where she'd lay it down on us, you know?
Would she just spank you or she use something?
She would spank us. There were times where she did use something. I don't remember what it was, but I think it might have been a wooden spoon or something like that. But those weren't, I could count on one hand probably the number of times that's ever happened. But yeah, she mostly just like would spank us. I remember I got to a point where it was just kind of like funny because like I was so big and it didn't hurt. So we didn't need it a lot.
Your dad never disciplined you?
He did, but it was more with his words, and he was intimidating. Even though he was not an intimidating person, as a kid growing up, I just had a healthy fear. Being grounded wasn't a thing because I remember like
oh yeah, never.
I remember like whenever my friends would talk about being grounded, I was
so
like,
ridiculous.
What is grounded?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
What, you get to play in your room all day? Oh,
right.
Boo-hoo.
Right. I can only imagine how being grounded is today. Like if you have like access to like the internet and stuff.
Did you ever get an allowance?
No.
Me neither.
Really?
Yeah.
No.
My mom would give us quarters
Uh-huh.
if we begged her, and she gave us a difficult chore to do. So we're like, Mom, my friend gets this much
Child
money
labor, man.
every weekend for their allowance. Please, can I get it? And she would say, okay, practice piano for 1 hour and I'll give you a quarter. And we would do it. Like,
Wow.
My quarter, please. Yeah.
That's so funny. We never got an allowance.
Never. Yep.
But
no allowance.
when I got old enough, my dad, he taught me how to work for it. So I would have to cut the grass or something. And he'd probably pay, not all the time, but sometimes
good.
he'll pay me like
yeah, my dad would do
$10 or
that
something.
too.
Yeah, so that's what I'm gonna do with my kids. I'm gonna make them do stuff. Pay them nothing.
Pay them nothing.
Pay them in a house, a roof over their heads.
That is true.
And the last one is gonna be how our parents had parties or get-togethers or gatherings or how they hung out with their friends.
So my dad would usually have like really nice dinner parties, like nice cocktail parties, serve a little bit of wine, champagne. We never had beer. Yeah, we did, but I don't remember ever really having beer in the house. And then, they would chat and talk. I usually just did my own thing, hanging out.
What did they talk about?
Work, politics, government, things like that. Science.
Nice.
That was kind of the level of conversation happening. And then, of course, my mom would always cook so much good food. So people loved to come to our house for parties because it was so well known that the food at our house was the best. My mom worked really hard to make the parties very enjoyable and hospitable. So it was like that. And then my mom usually had her friends over either for like Go Stop, sometimes mahjong, and then they were always super loud, like laughing and talking until like 4 a.m.
Right.
So whenever my mom had friends over, it was like a party.
Similar, I think, on the mom side, because my mom, she didn't really host a lot of parties, but there are times where her friends are over and they'll play like some of those, I guess, Korean games and stuff.
Stop.
And that's where I would see my mom show out. Like, I've never seen her. Like, because my mom is very, like, you guys have seen her, just very, she seems soft-spoken and very calm.
She tries to be like...
But when she's with her friends, they're so loud.
They're so loud.
And they sound like they're pissed off at each other.
Yeah, like shouting
but that's
and
just
laughing.
how they talk.
I know.
Now, my dad, whenever he got together with his friends, like, he would just...
Yeah, what was that like?
They probably were talking about politics, but probably from a different angle. I don't know, they were just having fun, so they would just, drink together, play cards. And there were times where growing up, my dad, I remember just a few times I would be tagging along. I don't know why, but I have like a home video of me even just with him. But Yeah, he'll play cards, just kick it with his friends. It's really cool. It's like a different vibe. It's not very like casual, it's not very like formal or anything like that. So usually there's like music playing in the background, like pop music, R&B or whatever, and just a lot of laughing. You know, so when
sounds so chill.
Yeah, like when black folk get together, it's just something about like, I don't know, man. It's just lots of laughs and just a good time. All right, that is it. So we looked at some of the similarities and differences of us growing up, Black Korean, White Korean. Very interesting when we actually sit down and talk to see the common ground, but just how things are different. But really how we can just celebrate those differences and learn. And it's just really cool. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video and it was of value to you guys. We are going to see you in the next video, but before we go, please subscribe to this channel if you haven't already for more awesome content coming your way. And for those of you guys that are supporting us on Patreon, thank you so much. You guys help us to do what we do.
Yeah.
And we just, if you're interested in supporting us, do consider clicking the link in the description below.
Sky Crew.
And also follow us on social media. We're pretty active there, especially Instagram. So we'll see you guys there and also in the next video. And until then, remember to always seize the day. Peace.